As revolutionary flames blazed across the streets of Berlin in the turbulent year of 1848. Soft steady lamplight continued to burn peacefully undisturbed deep within the secluded chambers of the royal palace. Amid an era torn by unrest, rebellion and violent upheaval, Elisabeth Ludovika, Queen of Prussia, chose to shield her fragile troubled king with quiet restrained devotion and gentle unwavering love. Her life bears no echoes of clashing armies, thunderous battlefields or grand political conquests. Only soft whispered exchanges beneath flickering candlelight and sacred promises never broken no matter how heavy the storm outside. Tonight, guided by the quiet warmth of slow-burning hearth flames, follow the delicate tender tone of her personal letters and inner thoughts. Step back into the refined, textured, quiet years of the Prussian court, and discover pure, serene peace hidden deep within a restless, chaotic age. Have you ever paused to wonder what invisible strength truly upholds the weight of a royal crown amid historical turning points filled with sharp contradictions, sudden twists and looming crisis? Elisabeth Ludovika, born a noble Bavarian princess, remained steadfast and unyielding in matters of faith, choosing sincere, enduring love over the convenient compromises demanded by royal tradition and political pressure. Entering the rigid, cold court of Prussia, she stood far more than merely a ceremonial queen consort. She became the most vital spiritual anchor, gentle comfort and unshakable emotional pillar for King Frederick William IV. Allow this soft, nostalgic retelling of bygone days to calm your weary heart. And let the quiet, profound affection and timeless tranquility belonging to her century-long journey wrap around you gently through the quiet hours of this night. Her entire life unfolds like a slow, lingering ballad written upon soft, aged rice paper. Every line, every subtle emotion woven through her days carries the quiet sediment of time, gentle reflection and quiet resilience forged through long years. Within Prussia's most unsettled revolutionary era, filled with public unrest, political division and looming collapse, Elisabeth Ludovika endured the harshness of reality with a sacred, almost saintly patience, tender tolerance and quiet inner grace. Her story transcends the narrow boundaries of a queen's royal destiny. It stands as a gentle, timeless guide revealing how a quiet, gentle soul may preserve tenderness, compassion and inner peace even within prolonged loneliness, isolation and overwhelming hardship. Tonight, release all noisy distractions, restless worries and hurried thoughts of daily life. And let the calm, poignant life of Elisabeth Ludovika accompany you slowly into deep, soothing dreams. During that tense, anxious spring of 1848, revolutionary barricades lined every street of Berlin. Angry shouts, desperate cries and the sharp crack of gunfire tore apart the once peaceful rhythm of city life. Deep inside the grand yet precarious royal palace, trembling beneath the shadow of rebellion, one solitary noble woman sat calmly in quiet seclusion, slowly grinding ink with steady, composed hands. This quiet, dignified lady was Elisabeth Ludovika, Queen of Prussia. And in those desperate, unsettling hours she devoted herself to writing soft, intimate, private notes for her overwhelmed, mentally broken king. Remarkably and beautifully, her writing remained entirely untouched by outer chaos, panic or fear. Filled instead with gentle, warm reminders concerning simple daily moments, quiet evening meals and humble, sincere evening prayers. Tonight, beside the soft, gentle glow of flickering hearth fire, we journey through this tranquil, understated tale meant for quiet contemplation, and slowly uncover the quiet depth and gentle strength defining her entire life. Within this fate-bound yet peacefully woven narrative, you will come to understand that the strongest, most unbreakable resilience in the human heart often resides in quiet restraint, gentle patience and silent devotion hidden beneath a calm exterior. Breathe slowly and deeply and let your mind drift gently backward through time, returning to a refined, quiet age illuminated only by soft candlelight, faded parchment and lingering ink stains. From the very beginning of her journey, fate wove a quiet, contradictory twist into the life of this gentle Bavarian noble girl. Born within the artistic, cultured charm of Munich, rooted deeply in devout Catholic faith and traditional pious heritage, she was destined to travel far northward into the stern, disciplined realm of Protestant Prussia. For the young, thoughtful Elisabeth Ludovika, this monumental transition meant far more than mere geographical distance and cultural difference. It marked a profound, painful tug of war between inner spiritual belief and external royal duty. Prussian courtiers eyed the foreign-born princess with quiet lingering suspicion and cold reserve. Protestant clergymen waited patiently expecting her to yield compromise and abandon her faith for the sake of the Prussian crown. Yet behind her soft delicate appearance lay unshakable quiet resolve. For 4 long testing years she firmly refused to renounce her Catholic beliefs merely to secure political acceptance and royal status. This stubborn unwavering loyalty to her own soul stood strikingly out of place within a cold calculating royal world governed entirely by political marriages, strategic alliances and forced concessions. It was precisely this pure uncompromising authenticity, quiet dignity and gentle integrity that captured the heart of Frederick William IV. The sentimental, dreamy, romantic-minded Prussian prince who grew weary of court pretense, hollow etiquette and cold political scheming. In her alone he discovered a rare gentle warmth, genuine sincerity and heartfelt tenderness impossible to find within the icy manipulative atmosphere of royal power. This quiet spiritual divide never fractured their bond or drove them apart. Instead it laid solid sacred foundations for an intimate spiritual alliance shared only between husband and wife. Amid endless court whispers, subtle judgment and hidden criticism, they built a private, tender world of understanding, shared sentiment and silent companionship entirely their own. Once they ascended together to occupy the Prussian throne as ruling king and queen, Elisabeth Ludovika soon understood just how fragile, delicate and easily shattered romantic idealism became beneath the heavy, brutal hammer of harsh political reality. King Frederick William IV was never born to be a decisive, resolute ruler. His sensitive, sentimental nature, moody indecision and dreamy, withdrawn temperament steadily plunged the entire nation into mounting social unrest, political confusion and dangerous chaos. Public squares across Berlin lay scattered with charred rubble, burnt wreckage and the bitter scars of violent uprising. Enraged crowds cursed royal authority, questioned monarchical rule and demanded radical change. While the broken, overwhelmed king retreated into shadowed private chambers, hiding his tear-stained face, consumed by fear, helplessness and despair. In response, Elisabeth Ludovika never overstepped her bounds to interfere in complex state affairs, complicated legislation or turbulent political decisions. She chose simply to remain faithfully, quietly beside her suffering husband through every long, darkened night. She would read soft, soothing lines of gentle poetry in a low, calm voice, or silently reach out to gently grasp his trembling, anxious hands trembling under the weight of overwhelming pressure. Her quiet, restrained presence formed an invisible protective barrier of calm stability, shielding the broken, vulnerable king from the raging outer chaos, bitter public anger and crushing despair threatening to overwhelm his fragile spirit forever. Within intimate private correspondence she addressed her husband with tender, affectionate warmth, calling him "my dearest William," rather than the cold formal title of "Your Majesty" demanded by rigid court protocol. This gentle private tenderness, reserved solely for him amid a harsh, high-stakes political environment, stood as her most profound, heartfelt protection and quiet, loving refuge for the man beneath the royal crown. With graceful, quiet wisdom she drew a soft, subtle boundary between her public duties as ruling queen and her private, tender identity as a devoted, loving wife. Even in his darkest, most hopeless moments, so long as he met her steady, gentle gaze and quiet, compassionate eyes, Frederick William IV could still feel whole, grounded and seen beyond the failures of his reign. Nevertheless, such tender, devoted companionship could never soften the cruel indifference of sweeping historical tides. And the isolated, tragic fate of the Prussian royal family grew increasingly inevitable and profoundly lonely as time passed. As the king's mental health slowly deteriorated, clouded by sorrow, stress and prolonged instability, Elisabeth Ludovika endured an ever heavier burden of quiet sacrifice, patient care and hidden sorrow. She became the silent, vital buffer caught between fierce political struggles, diplomatic tensions and power rivalries unfolding between Vienna and Berlin. In countless quiet, handwritten letters sent back to her beloved family and childhood home in Bavaria, she rarely poured forth complaint, bitterness or weariness concerning her difficult, lonely life at court. Instead she wrote tenderly of soft summer sunsets fading over the gardens of Potsdam, of withering petals drifting slowly through the landscaped grounds of Sanssouci Palace, and of delicate, weathered textures carved into ancient palace walls by the slow passage of endless years. This gentle, mindful focus upon small, fleeting, beautiful details of everyday life became her quiet powerful defense mechanism against the relentless cruelty, uncertainty and heartache of harsh political reality. While powerful nobles and ambitious politicians fought ruthlessly over territorial expansion, financial gain and dominant authority, she immersed her quiet soul in appreciation of eternal gentle beauty, steady nature and enduring quiet moments. Gradually courtiers and palace officials came to recognize the quiet dignified aura surrounding this reserved soft-spoken queen. Though she rarely spoke publicly or participated in factional conflicts and court intrigue, her quiet noble bearing, unwavering dignity and gentle grace preserved the final fading traces of traditional royal etiquette, decency and solemnity amid an absurd chaotic era. She resembled a softly dimmed gentle lamp burning steadily within overwhelming darkness. Never harsh or glaring, yet casting enough warm calm light to prevent the surrounding shadows from turning utterly cold and hopeless. During the final prolonged chapter of their shared life together, Elisabeth Ludovika endured the slow painful sorrow of the longest, most heart-wrenching farewell. Repeated severe strokes stripped the once imaginative romantic king of his ability to speak, communicate and express his inner thoughts. The gentle dream-filled husband she had loved since youth faded away little by little, leaving behind only a frail, silent, empty shell trapped within a weakened, failing body. Elisabeth refused to leave his bedside for any reason, turning away all grand royal ceremonies, elaborate court gatherings and public appearances, choosing instead to remain constantly at the side of her speechless, fading companion. Through countless peaceful, quiet afternoons she would speak softly to him in gentle, tender tones, reminiscing softly of their youthful first meeting along the tranquil banks of the Rhine, recalling sweet memories, quiet moments and shared dreams woven together in their earliest years. With delicate threads of precious, cherished memory, she sought gently to anchor his wandering, fading spirit, binding his fragile consciousness firmly to the quiet warmth of the present world for as long as time allowed. When the king finally drew his last breath and slipped peacefully away into eternal rest, Elisabeth Ludovika faced overwhelming grief with extraordinary quiet composure and gentle acceptance. She shed no violent tears or loud, desperate cries of sorrow, simply smoothed his collar with reverent, gentle care, then stepped quietly outside to walk alone through the crisp, quiet autumn air of Potsdam. In the long, solitary years following her husband's passing, she became the most deeply respected, revered dowager queen within the entire Prussian royal court, yet chose a life of gentle seclusion, quiet simplicity and humble withdrawal from public life. She wandered silently through every quiet corridor, garden and secluded corner of Sanssouci Palace, as if every lingering shadow, empty chamber and quiet courtyard still held the soft echo of their unfinished conversations, lost sweet memories and quiet shared moments. No longer living out of royal duty, political obligation or public expectation, she dedicated her remaining days solely to safeguarding, honoring and preserving the quiet, genuine love and private history only she still carried faithfully in her heart. Elisabeth Ludovika peacefully followed her beloved husband into eternal rest amid the bitter cold winter of 1873. Returning to the quiet question posed at the very beginning of our story. What lasting gift and profound legacy did this gentle, steadfast queen leave behind within that storm-swept, turbulent age? She never constructed magnificent architectural monuments, enacted sweeping political reforms or shaped grand historical legislation. Her eternal legacy rests solely in elevating quiet, devoted companionship, gentle loyalty and selfless, tender love to its most noble, purest form. Through her quiet life she proved to all future generations that even standing atop the lonely peak of supreme royal power, the human spirit may still choose tenderness, restraint, compassion and quiet resilience to withstand the heavy, crushing pressure of cruel fate, endless change and outer turmoil. Her gentle, quiet story lingers still like faded, intimate letters tucked quietly away within museum corners. Soft, understated yet infinitely touching, genuine and profoundly moving in its quiet, honest warmth. Our tranquil narrative now draws gently to a close, and the serene, refined, quiet atmosphere belonging to the old Prussian royal court slowly wraps softly around your mind and body. May Elizabeth's gentle, quiet strength, warm resilience and quiet, loving spirit bloom into the softest, most peaceful hues, weaving through your dreams throughout this calm night. Surrender fully into the nurturing, quiet embrace of the natural world. allowing all outer noise, daily exhaustion and restless thoughts to fade away into gentle stillness. Good night, and may your rest be filled with soft, undisturbed, peaceful dreams now and always.